step on that. Destroy the queen of the underground. No, I think we're fortunate because Lila's such a tremendous performer. We have work everywhere, all the time. So it hasn't affected us that much. I mean, our main source of income, if you want to say, has always been touring.
Yeah.
And the records, you know, we've done well with some records. Our last record, Pecados y Milagros, has done very well in Mexico.
Right, yeah.
So
didn't it hit the charts at 1, didn't it?
It was number 1 for quite a while in Mexico, so we're very proud of that. Especially considering that the music was not promoted in the main TV stations in Mexico or on radio. So it's sort of word of mouth, and it's folk music, which is really cool.
Right, right.
Okay, thanks.
So when you guys look at new works and you put out a new album, this is an album. I think the album also has a DVD. Is that of a live performance as well?
It is. It's a live performance we did last year in Mexico City at a big auditorium called the Auditorio Nacional, which is a beautiful venue. And we did also some of the visuals that you will see partly of here, that we invited different visual artists from Mexico to do the votive art, which is kind of the theme of the album, Miracles and Sins, and that was wonderful, and we would just love to perform there again.
Do you, when you consider some of your music has been used in films, and that's quite interesting. It's a great way today to get new audiences, and is that a challenge to write music for or to place music in particular films? How does that do that?
Yeah, well, that's of course you get very fortunate when someone like Elliot Goldenthal walks into back when Virgin existed, these stores in New York City, and saw our album, and along with a lot of other Mexican music, kind of researched the music for the film Frida, directed by Julie Taymor. So we got very lucky. She was in Mexico City. We were playing there at a club, and she came and saw us perform. So that was a wonderful way to kind of make your art go out there.
Was that the first one?
That was the first film that was a little bit of a, I guess because I also performed on the Oscars, it was a really big thing for me, you know. I was just in my rancho allá en Oaxaca. So it was a little scary, yeah. And it was a great opportunity for us to, to step up and perform more in different venues. But I venture to say that we have been very fortunate because we haven't had to sell out, in a way. I mean, our music is we don't have to change anything that we don't want to change. I've changed my thing a few times, but that's because I want to change it. It's not because I think that I'm going to sell more albums. So.
If you weren't a singer, what would you be doing? If you weren't in music.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I would be around anymore. Yeah.
Why do you say that? The expressions that we feel as fans is very, very intense. How does music, how do you go about making sure that your audience gets the feelings like you're feeling now in the music? How does that work? And how do you know when you have a good performance that you've reached people, you've touched people? How does that work?
Right. For me, it's a combination of so many elements. When you're on the road, you're very tired a lot of the time, and you haven't slept enough, and you might be really hungry and you can't eat yet, and then you have to really, feel the lyrics that you've written and really believe in what you're doing. Every night, exactly. You can't fail because the audience is so wise. I mean, I think audiences are such an amazing example of the collective, of what I was saying, that if you're not pulling it off, you know, they're the first ones to just respond. And I think I've been so fortunate to kind of perform on the streets for a number of years, in clubs, in, you know, more, you know, kind of formal situations, but also very informal. And I think you really need to fight for your audience. You know, you need to kind of make it happen, make something happen. And that's been my school, has been the wonderful audiences that are out that are asking for a particular thing, and then my needs, of course, combined.
Yeah, I think there's a responsibility when someone comes to hear you is a fan, a true fan. The expectations are usually very high, and to go out night after night to meet those or exceed those expectations, people don't realize it's a lot of work. I'm sure it's emotionally gratifying for you, but it's also a lot of work to do, as you said, especially when you're on the road doing one-nighters. Where would you rather be, in the recording studio or on the stage?
Oh, definitely on the stage, I mean, I love the recording studio too. That's a whole other growth, but it's more intellectual in a way. And the stage is really, you know, it's this amazing kind of spiritual, connected to the universe kind of thing, you know.
It's interesting, you know, I often ask that question, and I was talking to one of, I forget who it was now, but someone in Frank Sinatra's camp, and they were telling us that Sinatra was very famous for going in and doing one take and just nailing it. And I said, wow, that's incredible. You know, Whitney Houston is another one who used to do that as well. I said, what was the secret? He said, oh, it was easy. I said, really? He says, yeah. He said, before
Independence festivities, and it's wonderful because it's like you go to this opera theater where they hold some of the concerts with mariachis that come from different places in the world. The first time I attended
around the world?
Around the world,
really?
Yeah. Japanese mariachi, Chinese mariachi. In fact, the first time I was there, I saw a Rastafarian mariachi. It was amazing.
The heavy bass.
Amazing,
Interesting,
so
wow.
it's really great, and it's so beautiful to see. It's kind of like, I imagine, I've never been to Nashville, but I imagine that, you know, you go to these legendary theaters and you sit and you just watch mariachi band after mariachi band, and you can see that people kind of have under their little tequila drink, you know, like taking little swigs. And they sing, the audience is singing the songs with the mariachis all day. So that was a great tradition that I loved ever since I was a child. I wanted to be a part of that, and I was very honored to be invited a few years back, especially with my last name, Lila Downs, you know. And then the tradition of the Gulf Coast of Veracruz is very beautiful. It's what we call jarocho music. It's
I'm not familiar.
jarocho music. It's you probably are very familiar with a jarocho song called La Bamba. La Bamba was a jarocho song. And this is a tradition that is in origin from our African root. There's more of an African community there that mixed with the Native American groups, Totonac and Nahuatl, and of course Olmeca in the background, and also the Spanish roots. So it's a beautiful tradition of dance and song and with the harp. And Celso Duarte, who will be playing in a moment, knows this tradition beautifully. And also the coast of Oaxaca has another group of African communities that brought with them this, what they call the cajon, which is a Peruvian tradition from the slaves of playing. Really what it was a box where they had sugar and all kinds of different elements. And the people who came to Oaxaca came from Peru and Chile to look for their freedom at the time of slavery in other countries. So in Mexico we have these influences as well.
Interesting. You sound like you're a student of the music. You actually study the history and culture of the music?
I try to. I try to be respectful of the roots. But I'm also an artist, like, you know, and a human being, and I put in my own.
Of course.
Yeah.
What do you like when you're not touring, not recording, not on stage? I know because I read an article in, what's it, Yoga Magazine here in LA? Yes,
wow.
that you study yoga?
I do.
Yeah. So
I mean, I don't study it. I practice it. Yeah.
So
And
how
I
does that impact your music?
Oh, it's wonderful because when what we're talking about when you're having a terrible day, you know, you got to get off the plane and you run to the gig and you got to get up there. Breathing is really amazing. Yoga, it just makes you, you know, relax, and it is very helpful with the voice and getting away the hoarseness.
Yeah, of course. Of course. What else? What else? Tell us about, what do you do when you're not? Are you a big reader? Do you listen to music all the time? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, when I'm working on music, I guess I reference a lot of music. I like to go on iTunes and see what's happening in, you know, every day. And sometimes I look into the more traditional Mexican music when I am in Mexico. In Oaxaca, I go to the Anthropology Museum, or they have a great what do they call it? Fonoteca, place where they have recordings. What do they call it? It's like a library, a recording library, exactly. And you can sample things and so many things that haven't even, you know, been looked at for many years. So that really makes me very excited about.
Do you live in New York now?
We live part of the time in New York. The band, one band is based in New York City, and this is the band that is here today, except for Celso. He's based in Mexico City, and we also work with another band of musicians in Mexico City, so we tour mostly in Mexico with them.
I see.
Yeah, and this last album, we've been touring a lot in Mexico this last year, and touring with the band. It's been wonderful.
Now, you've won a Latin Grammy, and you've been nominated for a Grammy. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What was it like to win a Latin Grammy? And what did you win it for? I don't remember.
It was One Blood, an album that we did 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. And it was very
Did you
exciting.
attend the ceremony?
I think we couldn't because we were on tour. So, you know, you make these commitments, you know, and so it wasn't possible, but I was really surprised. It was really, you know, it made you feel like, oh, okay, I must be doing something right.
Well, more than that. I mean, the great thing about a Grammy Award, Latin or traditional Grammy, is that it's voted on by your peers. You know, people who know the music, people who make the music like you do. And that's why, you know, the Grammy Award is so important and so prestigious, I think. So and I've been, you know, the Latin Grammys, you probably know, are now in Las Vegas in November. And boy, oh boy, I go there. I don't speak Spanish. I'm trying, but it's all in Spanish. But you don't need to hear a word. All you have to do is listen to the music. It's just amazing. It's fantastic. Well, I think basically what we should do is let's open it up and let some of your fans ask some questions, and we'll get them, and then we'll do some music.
And you know, I mentioned it to the people at Sony. We recently signed with Sony, so they said, of course, we can give them a call and tell them, and they knew our music and they accepted, and so that was very exciting. Also, being able to perform with Mercedes Sosa, the legendary Argentinian singer. You know, that was such a dream come true for me because I look up to her so much. She was such an amazing instrument and character, and so committed to folk music, and so I knew someone, and that someone knew someone who lived with her, so that's how we made that connection, and she could do it. That's a lot of the time you want to do a collaboration, but people are really busy and schedules and all that. So we've been very fortunate to be able to do more than a few.
Yes, go ahead.
Lila, I'm very, very excited to be here. I've been following you since Santo Domingo, Tonala.
Oh, wow.
Misteka. I just saw you in Napa on Friday. So I was a crazy girl dancing.
Right.
I'm very, very, very honored to be in front of you and be talking to you. But my question is, how does motherhood change your music?
Nice, good question.
Yeah. Wow, well, it's almost, it's like you remember that you are an animal and that the senses just become heightened, you know, in every way. The anger, the pain, the love. I think the love is the most wonderful discovery, is that you have this amazing capacity, but you are maybe more aware of it suddenly, and you become protective of so many things, like ideals and beliefs and people that maybe you did not care for before. I feel like, you know, some people say as you get older, you kind of weaken in your ideals, but for me it's kind of been the opposite. It seems like I feel stronger in that way, and I think it has to do with motherhood.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Lila. Thank you. Anyway, I had read somewhere that you were working on a stage adaptation of like Water for Chocolate, the
Yes.
music, and I was wondering if that was still happening and when we could expect that.
It is. We've had some major changes with the production, with the author. So we just spoke to the author again, and we're gonna give it a little more time. I guess that this is very typical in these projects. They take forever.
Yes.
Can you tell me about your relationship with Chavela and how her recent death affected you? And can you tell me anything just beautiful about her that I never got to see her in person or?
Yeah. Well, Chavela Vargas was this amazing lady. She was really, you know, one of the warriors that were kind of left over from from a certain time, and you know, I think she used to talk so freely about being Frida's lover and all these things that people started thinking, oh, they're probably just made up. But it turns out now everything is coming out, you know, all her personal letters, or, you know, someone mentioned to me that they're going to do a museum in Tepoztlan, and she actually did have some letters from Frida. So I think she's a fascinating character, and it was a real honor to be there at her wake, done in a real Mexican way. She wanted to have a wake in front of the pueblo, the people, in Garibaldi, which is this representative place where mariachis play in Mexico City. And everybody was drinking tequila and crying, laughing, and singing the way that wakes are in traditional
Celebrating
Mexico.
her life.
Celebrating her life, exactly, the way she wanted it.
Yeah, it's nice. Any other questions?
Yes.
So I'd like to thank you for all the work that you do in Oaxaca and the non-profit things that you do.
Thank you.
What are the things that you are working out that we could probably help you and that you're, I don't see it posted anywhere, I don't see it on TV, I don't see it anywhere else, but I know you do it. But
Yes.
when I see it, it's because you already done it, so. What can we do before you do it so we can probably help?
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much. I would invite you to go to the website. It's casamujer.org, and you can visit the website and be connected with the organizers in Oaxaca. It's a very successful scholarship that we have been supporting over the years with a yearly concert. in Oaxaca that supports young Indian women who have already a background in volunteer work and community work, and then wish to continue their education. So I invite you to visit the website.
Anyone else?
Anyone else back there?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to other aspiring artists that are multicultural as well, that maybe are torn in what direction to go when they are influenced by different tradition, nationalities, and so forth?
Yeah. Well, I guess, I think it's very important to love where you're coming from and to nurture that, and through art, it's so easy to, really. And what you were saying, that they're cutting out these musical programs in education, I think is a very backwards way to be going, because I think if we all had more art in our lives from early on, we would be much more